Hey guys, I wasn't planning on doing a video, but I just sat down here with my dinner and it's way too hot to eat because I overheated it, of course. And I just had some thoughts I wanted to get on here and talk about. And Connor's going to come in and out. It's going to be crazy. Do you want to talk to him? This is mine. You already ate. Nope. You already ate. Why is it you can feed your kid a ridiculous amount of food and he still wants your food? Anyway, I had this thought and I was like, I really want to get on here and talk about this. And this is going to be deep, y'all. I hope that no one will watch this and get offended. I hope that no one will watch this and think I don't love my kid. I hope that I can help someone, though, because I think that it's not talked about, and it probably should be. So, I think a lot of times as special needs parents, we hide a lot, and we're not very transparent, and the reason being is we're protecting our kids, and I totally get it. I totally understand it, and I think also we are preaching and advocating all the time that they're more alike than different, and that your life will still be beautiful, and we're talking to people who maybe their child just got a diagnosis, or we're talking to people who are still pregnant and have found out their child has a certain diagnosis, and so we want to make our life pretty and light and fluffy, and that's I get it. I totally understand why, but I try to be more transparent than that. And I'm not talking about anyone who isn't at all. But for me, there's a lot hidden when you make it all light and airy and fluffy, because there's some heavy, deep stuff. And to hide that could possibly mean, I promise I'm wearing a shirt. I see that looks like I'm not when I sit like that. See, I get so distracted. I see that a lot of times in doing that, parents who are fearful or are going through a hard patch or are getting depressed and anxious and stressed out, maybe they feel like they're not normal. Maybe they feel like they're alone. And I never want anyone to think they're alone, especially if I've experienced what they're experiencing and I can help them. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get on here and talk about. There are days that are not good days. There are days that are heavy. There are days that the anxiety and the fear are like paralyzing, like it's overwhelming. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to tell you that there are days that it feels like too much. There is no shame in admitting that. It doesn't mean I love my kid any less. It doesn't mean I love my life any less. It's just an emotion that you're going through in that moment, and it's difficult. It's hard. It's not always positive and happy, because we're human beings and we go through different seasons and we go through many emotions, and us women are hormonal. Let's just be honest. And so some days are not good. And I don't have them that often. I'm not telling you I have them all the time. I might not have them for months and months, and then I may have them for days in a row. It's your emotions. It's how you feel. You hear it said all the time, you can't help how you feel and all these things. And there's some truth to that. I don't fully believe that, but there's some truth to that. But, sometimes it's just all too much, and I've had plenty of days like that, and I'll give examples on my life personally. This is hard to do, y'all. Seeing how far behind Connor is, it's difficult. Most days it don't bother me. He's an only child. I don't have he doesn't have a sibling that I compare him to, and I'm not saying that people that have kids with special needs compare them to their sibling. I'm just saying it would be easier to do, I feel like, if there was another child here all the time. I don't, I'm trying to be careful what I say. But there are times that you compare, that you look, and that you notice, and you don't mean to, and you don't always. But, you know, if Connor's playing at church, I'll just give an example. At church, he's going to play with the 2 and 3 year olds rather than the other 7-year-olds. And that's okay. There's no shame in that. Typical children do that sometimes. It's okay. And then your mind will wonder, well, will it always be like that? Like when these 2 and 3 year olds start getting older, will he continue to play with them, or will he play with the other 2 and 3 year olds, if that makes sense? And then you'll be like, well, he's going to be an adult playing with little kids, and is he going to be gentle enough? Is he going to be is it going to be appropriate? Is it, you know, and you can let yourself get crazy over it. When you see younger children born, and then you watch them grow, and you hear them talk, and you see them start hitting these milestones and start passing him up, and you're like, I remember when they were born. You know, Connor was around when they were born, and things like that. It can eat you up. It really can. And then you start letting your mind go to places like, you know, am I gonna be taking care of him forever? Am I gonna be an old person? I'm just so honest on here. I really am sorry if I offend you. Am I going to be older and still have this child? Like, and somebody's going to get so offended by this. I'm not trying to do that at all, y'all. I'm trying to be honest. And some days it's too much that, you know, we're trying to, my last post, if you watched it, we're trying to get a communication device, and we've been trying, and we've been filling out the grant application because we can't afford it on our own, and we've been really excited about it, and he's been using it at school, and he's really progressed with it, and so for months we've been trying to do this. We've talked about it, and now it's like been happening for months, and then like the other night, all of a sudden I got bogged down with it. Like, I'm like, it's just one more thing I'm going to have to take everywhere. And I already have to pack a diaper bag. It's just one more thing that I got to keep up with on top of keeping up with him. And you can let yourself get something that's a positive one day. The next day can be a negative, if that makes sense. And I think that happens a lot in the special needs world, but we don't talk about it. We're not open about it. And I understand why. And I don't even know if I should be doing this video, because someone's going to take it wrong. And in our world, that's what we have to worry about, everyone else's feelings. Well, I'm just trying to be open and honest. And if I can help one person who thinks they're alone because no one else has talked about this, then it's worth it. And I love my kid. Y'all know I do. And I think he's awesome. And I love him right where he's at. And if, I'm going to be honest here, if he never said another word, if he never learned another thing, if he stayed right here forever, I'm completely fine with it. But I can't tell you that some days it don't scare me. You know, I can't tell you that some days that don't seem like the most overwhelming thing in the world. And it gets you thinking, and it brings up the issue of wanting more children, and we definitely want more children. Jeremy and I both do. But I think one of the things that holds us back is that some days all you can think about is another child, loving them, and them loving Connor, and the brother-sister or brother-brother, whatever, relationship, and the bond they would have, and how much fun we would have as a family of 4, and how it would complete us, and how much we long to have another child. You know, it was never our plan to have one child, and how incredible it would be. And then the next day, we may be thinking, gosh, I'm overwhelmed with one child. How could we add in another child with all Connor's medical and with everything going on, and all the doctors and specialists and the hospitalizations and just caring for both of them and making sure he still felt loved and making sure he, didn't feel different and it goes right back to what I was talking about. One day a positive, the next day it's a negative, and that is life. That is normal. But it gets heavy. You overthink everything. And we all do that. I'm not saying that only special needs parents overthink everything. Don't get me wrong, because I've overthink everything my entire life. But you have different layers, and you have more worries and fears, and different worries and fears. And it can be too much. There can be days where you think, I can't breathe. It just feels heavy. And then the next day, you're walking on sunshine. You're filling out the grant for the communication device, and you can't wait to get it. And you're playing with him with those 2 and 3 year olds, and you could care less. And you don't compare. You don't think about it. You don't. It doesn't even cross your mind. But then the next day, it may be all that's on your mind. And I don't think we talk about it enough. I don't think we're open enough about it. I think we have to be careful how we're open about it, because we don't want to scare the new parents or the parents to be, obviously. And Down syndrome isn't scary. Special needs isn't scary. But and they are more alike than different. I feel like I'm about to contradict myself, but it is different. There are different struggles. There are different worries and fears, and that's okay. It's okay, and life is still beautiful, even when it's heavy. And we know that. Sometimes your greatest worship and your closest times you feel with God are when you're in the middle of a storm. It's when life is heavy and things are hard and you're scared and you're worried and it's those times that your walk with Him is so connected and so close. And sometimes that's our own fault, because sometimes we only reach out to Him when we're bogged down, and I just wanted to get on here and do this video. The direction of it is going all over the place. I know I'm bouncing everywhere, but I just wanted to say that life is not all rainbow and sunshines, but life is good, and it's still beautiful, and it's okay to admit that. It's okay to talk about the hard stuff. I know a lot of times on my blog, of course on my social media, and on here, I talk about deep stuff. I talk about hard stuff. And if I have made you think that I don't love my life, I have led you deeply, deeply astray. I have. I love my life. I love my husband. I love my kid. But sometimes, I love my job, put that in there too, but sometimes life gets heavy, and to admit that shouldn't bring shame, it shouldn't bring controversy. It should be okay to admit that. We should want to be more open and honest, because honestly, when we are open and honest, it's the only time we can help someone else walk in that same road, and because for a long time, I felt like I was alone in the hard days, and in the getting bogged down days, and in the I can't do this days. And then I got in a support group, and I met other people who were saying what I've been feeling, and I was like, wow. Like, I was in a support group the other day, and they were talking about the fear and the depression that can come with it, and they were mostly talking about with like the initial diagnosis, and they were asking, do you still feel afraid? My baby's such and such old. I don't even think their baby was a year old. I don't remember. My baby's such and such old, and I still feel so afraid sometimes. And we were on there like, yes, it's normal. It's normal. And obviously we didn't get like a before birth diagnosis, and we didn't give birth to Connor, so our journey's different. But someone commented on there, and oh my gosh, I had to screenshot it. Like, I know you're not allowed to do that in those groups, but I didn't share it. But I had to keep it for me, because she said, You go through seasons where you go, it's going to make me cry. I'm sorry. You go through seasons where you go back to the fear and you go back to the, not full-blown depression, but kind of depression, and you're going to have seasons throughout her life. This lady had a little girl. You're going to have seasons throughout your life where you go back to it, and that's normal, and that's okay. But no one wants to talk about it, so you think that it's not normal. And y'all know I commented. And we got in this little discussion, and it was so nice that someone else was honest enough to open up about that, because I've been feeling so bad. I've been feeling like I've just been feeling like maybe I'm not a good enough mother. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Because I feel this way sometimes, or because I compare him to other children sometimes, and maybe I'm messing up, and maybe something wrong with me. And for her to open up about it, she helped me. And so that is why, y'all, that I am so upfront and open about so many things. And so I just wanted to get on here and kind of talk about that. I had someone give me a compliment the other day. I don't even think she really meant it as a, well, she did mean it as a compliment, I guess, and she commented on something I wrote about Connor on my social media. And she said, "I love your transparency. You can be so raw and so honest about something, and yet make it sound so beautiful." Because she knows I love Connor, and she knows that my life is beautiful. And for her to say that, it was just like, wow. It was probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten, maybe the best one I'll ever get. And for her to say something like that, it meant so much to me. It meant more than people being like, "Oh, you're a good mom. Oh, and I do appreciate that. Truly, I do. Because us mamas are hard on ourselves, and none of us think we're a good mama. But for someone to say something like that about me, it meant a lot to me, because I am trying to be open and honest, and I am trying to be open and honest about hard things in my life and things that others aren't open and honest about. So it makes me seem different or not the norm. But just like that girl opened up and helped me, I hope that me opening up can help others. And I know that it's hard, and I know that it can be taken wrong, and that's sometimes why I dance around certain subjects, or I try to make it more light, and I don't go in depth with it, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and I don't want anyone to ever think I don't love my child. And I just feel like I have to be so careful. And but I just wanted to encourage you, like I'm trying to tell myself also, that good can come out of being open and honest. Yes, you're going to have the naysayers. Yes, you're going to have the people that take it in a negative light. Yes, you're going to have the people who think you're flat out crazy for sharing so much. But if you can help someone, it is worth it, y'all, because we are all going through things, not all the same things. But there's someone in this world that's going through the same thing you are, and you don't want them to feel alone. And if you don't want them to feel alone, then be brave enough to be honest. Be brave enough to be raw. Be brave enough to talk about the thing that no one else will talk about. Just be authentic and be transparent. And that's just kind of what I wanted to get on here and say. I didn't mean for this to be as long as it is, and I definitely did not mean to cry on y'all. I did not expect to do that. But I'm just being honest, and sometimes it's so hard to be honest. It's so scary, but you are going to make an impact on someone else, because there's someone in this world going through the same thing, and they feel like they're alone. And so let's show others they are not alone, and let's share our stories and be transparent and show the heavy and the hard and the difficult and the raw, as well as the light and airy and the good. And let's show people that life is not always butterflies and rainbows. Life is thunderstorms and clouds. It is, and let's be honest about that. And so many more people are going to get the help they need and the answers they need if we will. And so that's what I want to get on here and say. I have cried my makeup all the way down my face. So I'm going to go, y'all, and fix that. Again, I appreciate y'all watching, and if I can do anything to help y'all, or anything you want me to talk about in the future, or any questions you have, just comment, y'all. I'm an open book, as you've seen, and I'm trying to do better and share more. So I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all are awesome. I'll talk to y'all next time.